It always comes to this. More nice shit. There guys, back again to another tattoo progress update today. Where I last left off, I showed off the big purple and blue tentacle on my my left side with Terry. That's all healed up now. It healed really easily. No surprise there. All of the tentacles have been healing really easily and very quickly. It's basically done exactly what I expected it to. I'll show it off here before I talk about everything else. So here you can see it's basically exactly the same, except again the colors all lightened up. They don't so much fade as they do mix with the white and kind of turn to this lighter version of the color. So did the exact same thing as every other one did, but I'm overall really happy with it, and I don't think this one will need much work. I think probably if we do anything else with this, it might be a touch up in the blue just to make it more of a solid blue, and I expected that. I did call that most likely what would happen, if anything, is the blue would mix with the white and become a very light blue. But it's enough to keep it separate from the background, where that one is fairly tonally consistent with the background. The perimeter of light blue was necessary in this case to break it apart from that backdrop so it doesn't just get lost. Yeah, not quite as striking as the green one, but I like it nonetheless, and it makes a nice addition here. Now all the tentacles are fully colored. I'm very happy with the color choices we went with, and from here we'll just be in touch-ups and kind of additional tweaks to them. So the heavy work is done on the tentacles now, and happy we made quick work of it. Not like the 68 sessions I've had with Rick now on my left sleeve, which I'm content to work on forever, because again, sleeve is definitely less painful than torso, and it's not like pain is a huge prohibitor for me or some limiter on anything, but you know, it's pleasant to sit for an arm tattoo. It's not really, considering the amount of pain that you have per second on the ribs and stomach. It's not necessarily a pleasurable session ever. So where I just sat down with Rick for the last 3 hours and we were just bullshitting, listening to a podcast, you know, it's very light work compared. So content to work on this shit forever with him, which today we did the back side here. So from roughly right below this breathing hole spot and some of this up here all the way down here. And there's quite a bit of work in this, and it doesn't really always look like it. It's not always indicative of how much is done, you know. You know, there's all of this in here is very elaborately detailed and fleshed out, but this whole top area has really come to life a lot over this last pass. It was pretty good before, and it's even better now, so I'm happy with how all of this is coming together overall. So with this, I should say now we've had 68 sessions, and I would say we're probably roughly 250 to 300 hours in on this sleeve already. And I think we're probably going to make it to around 400 plus hours for this sleeve by the end, which is, you know, more hours than most bodysuits take. And I'm completely okay with that. You know, as long as we're still seeing progress, I'm content to keep working on it. Next week we're going to be, I believe, working on this part here. Or we could go kind of in here. I'm not exactly sure what Rick wants to do. I'm okay with anything. We can do whatever part of it he wants. It's fine. Again, we're going to need to do that elbow again sooner or later because it's already getting worse. Although the line is held up in some of the light blue, I think that a change of colors may be needed in order to get it to work. Where over here we use that yellow callus to our advantage in the thorns. When these were black and white primarily, you could see that yellow sticking through, and so actually changing the color to yellow over most of that was really a hidden blessing. So I'm thinking we might want to do something like that on this one as well. Callus is really hard to deal with. I've got a few spots on my thumbs I've showed you guys a few times here that always turn back to that flesh tone no matter what you do. And it's the case that I have some of that on my elbow as well. I've got a few of those spots on my palms as well here, like right below the fingers, where there's probably no point to ever try and saturate that, because whatever you do there will always just degenerate in time anyway. I just actually today posted on my Instagram the year anniversary of my one-shot back blackout. So the reaction is always so polarizing whenever I post anything blackout related. It had been for years, but particularly now where my following is so far away from blackout now, to the point where people actually don't even realize that I ever had blackout tattoos, because I've been in color over black and white on black and stuff now for quite a few years. And so it is the reality that when I post that stuff, some people don't even really appreciate that that's me, or understand that there was tattoos before the black, or, you know, it's not like I've built such a depth into my character and my page and following over various social media platforms to where you may have just encountered me in the last year, or you may have encountered me 10 years ago when I had the original bodysuit. But for a lot of people that are just following me, you know, these days based off the new work, they haven't even seen my first bodysuit, and they may assume that there was no blackout even. So I don't necessarily assume that everyone has read the complete comprehensive EphemeralRemy autobiography. You know, I don't assume that everyone watching this vlog will have watched every vlog I've made. With that said, I am one of the most explained and publicized tattoo figures there have ever been. There's just about no reasoning that hasn't been explained and in great detail about any part of my tattoo journey. So if you have any kind of question about me at all, it's been answered a million times, right? People ask all the time how I pay for my tattoos, how many hours I've been tattooed, how many layers I have. All of these things have been answered ad nauseum, like over and over again. And so it does get annoying to have to constantly provide the same information that you've answered a million times. And I've put the answers out there in the public domain in as many ways and in as many different mediums as possible. Short videos, long form. I did 3 videos on why I blacked out. I made a video about how I paid for my tattoos. Now I'm a shop manager at the shop, and now my wife tattoos, and so people will say things like, oh, well, I bet he gets all his tattoos for free, and oh, I bet he... None of that is a thing. It's very, very publicly known, and I've made it very readily available that, you know, I was a cook for 20 years, and I had multiple bodysuits before I managed the shop. I didn't get handouts. I'm not a trust fund baby. None of these stupid bullshit lies that most victims will try and tell themselves to give me an excuse as to why I can do this. None of that is a thing. I was a cook for 20 years. I managed a restaurant for 13 years. And my parents were both broke. I came from nothing and built myself up by making decent choices as a young man. Not with everything, but with finances. I bought my first house when I was 25, you know. And from after that point, I was able to more or less do what I wanted with my money. Now, up until that point, I didn't get tattooed all the time, which is a big mistake that a lot of people make when they're young. They get tattooed all the time, and they get, tattoos like $100 at a time. And they end up with terrible sleeves and terrible leg tattoos and all kinds of bullshit that can be avoided if you wait until you're later in life to get started on that stuff. Now, I didn't have no tattoos. I still had quite a few tattoos, but they were all big tattoos, and tattoos that you pay real money for, you go to professionals for. And so I never really had the pitfalls that a lot of people get when they're going for walk-ins and little shitty tattoos that they just randomly popped into their head. I never really did that thing. I did have a few of those on my legs, but even that was after I bought my house. So everything started for me I got real hard into tattoos after I was already established in life, for the most part. So that's a big thing. If you're wanting to get heavily tattooed, you should set yourself up first, Now, I had a lot of piercings already at that time, and so I didn't really feel necessarily like I needed to make some kind of a statement. If I was going to be heavily tattooed, it was because I wanted to have the tattoos, and not like I needed to impress someone or feel like I belonged to some subculture or something. There was never anything that I needed to impress upon the world with it. It was just surely at some point some aesthetic pursuit or genuine interest that I had in the subculture. But it was genuine, It didn't come from some need to fit into anything. In fact, the subculture has been the part of it that I've disliked the most. The communal aspects of this are the things that I avoid. I don't do conventions. I've been invited to 1 million of them. I went to our local convention recently, and I felt annoyed most of the time, There's enough of me out there. I'm not looking for any more attention. And I didn't do it for any of those stupid reasons. It was always just a genuine pursuit of the thing. I always liked the process of these things more than the image even. So in saying that, that's why for some people this sleeve would make 0 sense to do 68 sessions on it already, and we're not even done. For some people that'd be completely out of the question, for people who just want the image of it. But I am getting what I paid for because I enjoy being tattooed, right? I enjoy sitting down and having work done. I enjoy healing it. I enjoy living with it. I enjoy the incremental changes and progression and constant evolution of things. I enjoy that. And so that is what I'm paying for with my pain and my money, because I do still pay for every session. I'm getting what I paid for. The experience of being tattooed is lost on a lot of people. A lot of people don't enjoy being tattooed. I think it's a great shame that we have a lot of people getting tattooed that don't actually like being tattooed. We have a lot of people buying tattoos that don't actually like being tattooed. I think that's sad because the best part of it is the experience for me. Even the really painful ones that you don't want to do as often as, say, a sleeve, that still forms a memory, right? Like I have a memory attached to when I blacked my back out in one session. That story of doing that and having the video footage of doing that will always bring me back to the point more than any one picture of a tattoo will. I'll never forget that experience. I'll never forget doing it the second time and covering even more ground. Those things have always been more important to me than whatever the picture is. So for the people who still can't comprehend why I blacked out all of my old tattoos that were all fairly nice, they think that I didn't like them, and they ask me what it is that I didn't like about them. I liked all of them. I still like them. I still have them in my mind. If you have the memory of the thing, it's never really gone. And insofar as we don't live forever anyway, and nothing do we get to keep forever, the fact that those are gone, they would have been gone eventually anyway, right? Everything goes eventually. That's like saying that because my wife will die one day, it doesn't matter that I have her now, right? So my way of looking at things is every single thing is temporary. Everything. We're temporary. None of us are going to live forever. We don't get to keep any of this. May as well experience more things knowing that you're going to lose all of them anyway. It doesn't mean that you don't love someone because you didn't get to keep them forever, right? I didn't get to keep anything forever. Like I've been with multiple women that I loved. Obviously, I'm with my wife now for nearly 9 years. And if she passes away tomorrow, that doesn't mean I never cared about her or that it didn't matter that we were together. I live my life in a way that if things were to end tomorrow, I could be happy with what I had. And I think that most people are far too attached to things. It's too scary to lose things for most people. And I think that's why my journey has made no sense, because most people they aspire to obtain something as if they can keep it forever. The great goal or mission of life is to acquire as many things that are cool or seem cool to other people, and then hold on to them for dear life until the end. Whereas what I've been doing is anti that, right? It's like understanding that yes, there is value in something, but there's really no value in holding on to it, In my experience, I was unable to have the things I wanted when I needed them. I was only able to have the things I wanted in life, really, when I didn't need them anymore, right? So, for example, when I was young, I was always trying very hard to find love, right? It was like I was engaged 4 times. Actually, I was actually engaged 4 times, the last time to my wife. And it was always with the wrong people. I was trying too hard, and you could almost make it work too. But it was always insincere, It was always with people that you really shouldn't be with, and things that you really didn't want to put up with in your life just to have it, And it wasn't until I was ready to not have that, to go alone and be single and just do my thing, that's when I was able to find someone that I actually could have. And that's the same way with everything, I feel like. The more you need to keep something, the less you will have it in reality. So I think that people should embrace just kind of enjoying what they have while they have it, and not needing it so much forever. And they would be much happier with that, I think. I don't think that that's unhealthy. I think that's the healthiest way to look at anything. And unfortunately, I think that the world is going in the opposite direction of that. We're going into attachment instead of away from it. And I think that when you need something more than you want it, it's never a good thing for anyone involved. Anyway, that's my rant for the day. I'll show this off again here. And I will be having a session with Terry here next week, 2 days from now. Not next week. I'm all over the place today. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys here in a couple days. Have a great day.